Comedian Donna Spence performing in Nottingham this evening alongside Richard Blackwood, Shazia Mirza and John Simmet at Upfront Comedy, Just the Tonic this evening. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First trip to Nottingham?
No, I actually performed at Nottingham Playhouse a few years back, but I'm really looking forward to tonight, actually.
London comedian, jetted up the M1 to see us.
Yes.
Very pleased to have you with us. How do you find the audiences out of London are? Do you
Lovely. They're so warm and they're so giving. You've got to remember, we're spoilt in London, so there's always a show on, there's always something. But when you step out of London, and it's really funny because if you say something like a joke and they don't, you know, if you're out of London, they're still warm to you, even if it's a little bit down. They say, go on, girl, keep going. And you're like, oh. Out of London, they're like, boo, get off. So.
Are the audiences nicer out of London then?
Yes, definitely. I will definitely put my hands up. I think most of us would admit to that, definitely. Definitely. I don't know if it's because maybe out of London you don't get as much as London. I mean, when was the last comedy show you really had here?
Oh, last comedy show would have been a couple of months back.
Oh, it's not so bad.
Yeah, but whereas in London it's pretty much every weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being a comedian wasn't, I hear, something that you ever planned to do, was it?
No, not at all. I started off as a singer, funny enough, years ago, as we do in the church, blah, blah, blah. But it was Ninia Benjamin from Three Non-Blondes. She was doing a comedy competition and she said, oh, come. She said, I want you to fill in the numbers. I said, oh, I'm not funny. Yeah, you are. Come, you always make people laugh. So it was me and Jimmy Carr, funny enough, and Jimmy Carr was first and I beat Jimmy Carr. Well, you can see how far that got me. So I beat him in a heat and he went, but you know what? All due to respect him, he does put the work in. He deserves where he's got, really.
What was he like off the stage though? Was he funny?
I never found Jimmy Carr funny then, to be fair, but I think that's when you're working through things. You're talking about 10, 11 years ago. Now what you see is somebody who's, got money, got time to read 4 newspapers a day. When you're going to work every day and having to do comedy, it's really difficult because you've got to switch the two heads. And obviously if you're a woman, then you know you've got all these hats to wear, look after the other half, the children, running around, family. It's kind of more difficult.
Well, talking of that, of being a woman and a comedian, you always hear people talk about how difficult it is for females in the world of comedy. Is it doubly difficult being a black woman in the world of comedy? Yeah,
because on mainstream you're not really, you got to be coloured to be on mainstream. I'm sorry, I got, I'll be as honest as possible, and I don't fit that criteria, so I have no real interest. But I think if you're funny, you're funny. It doesn't matter. They'll find you, and you'll find that it's, what I would say is people will find you anyway, no matter where you are. They'll come into your audiences, they'll love you, they won't even look. I don't think there's a colour thing to it. But I do believe you got to put a lot of hard work in to get where you need to get. And I don't like anyone controlling me.
Very honest. So you like to do your own thing when you get on stage?
Love doing my own thing. I don't like to be controlled. Don't say this, don't say that. I'm not like that. I'm going to say what I want to say. I talk about single women because some of them are silly and I talk about them. I'm not one of these women, yes, I salute women. No, if you're talking rubbish, you're going to get told.
How does that process of making jokes, so to speak, how does it happen?
You know what? I never knew I was funny. I didn't realise when I done that first show for Ninia Benjamin, I was complaining about, body form and how women were jumping up on stage and, on TV wearing white. I was like, hold on, I don't feel like that. And I was making some jokes. Well, I was moaning about it, and then it became apparently funny. And then it took me about 8 months to realise, oh, what they call funny is your truth. And then obviously I had Angela Marr guide me, and then I was on other radio stations, then it just worked from there. But I never knew I was funny. Even now sometimes I think, oh, is that funny? Because it's my truth. But what I know is that the more you are together with everybody, like I get on buses, I don't sit on trains very often. I get on buses, I get really with the public to go through what they go through, because the minute I separate that, then I'm not real anymore. When you sit on a bus and somebody sits down next to you and they take up the whole of the seat and you're thinking, why are you doing it? That's an experience. Do you know what I mean?
Travelling on public transport is the best kind of comedy and the worst kind of comedy.
I agree. For me, it's the best kind of comedy because I can really, the person in the audience really gets that. They're like, oh, it's not just me. Or you get on the train, especially in London, if you get on the train in the morning or the tube in the morning and it's Monday morning, why is your armpit stink? Why is the whole place stink? And, stop drinking and you smell like a brewery. So, the minute you separate yourself and become this other thing, I couldn't sit in a car all the time because when you sit with the public, they get you. It's like how I feel about female bosses. Some female female bosses get on my nerves. If they're not happy, they're going to make you suffer.
Are you talking about any in particular?
Oh, I remember doing a show in Croydon once, and I used to work in Croydon, and my boss turned up, and I didn't know she was in the audience, and I made a joke about female boss. I said, I've got this horrible female boss, blah, blah. And then some of my friends, they kind of went quiet, and I was like, okay.
Dear.
And she was there. I went, oh, well, you know I don't like you, you don't like me, so let's get over it.
Did you have a job to go back to the next
Lucky
day?
enough, I was an agency worker, so I just got moved to another department.
Lucky you. Oh, tell us about what we got to look forward to tonight from your
Well, tonight you have, I'm going to obviously talk about us as film. It's International Women's Month. So I'm going to talk about those lovely men. I'm going to talk about why some of us can't settle down with them, and why some big women need to know to wear their size and start wearing girdles, because, you need to realise when you're fat, and you need to accept the situation.
Ouch. So wear your corset if you're coming to see
Wear your corset. I'm wearing mine. Wear your corset, girl.